I'm Nicole Burley. It is Friday, July 30th. This is Rush Hour, and here is what's making headlines tonight. An alarming report from the CDC urging the country to revamp its COVID containment strategy and calling the Delta variant as contagious as chickenpox, and a growing crisis on the border as CBP agents report the highest number of migrant encounters in more than 2 decades. Plus, 2 major headlines surrounding former President Trump as the DOJ orders his tax returns released. Our thousands of NewsNation journalists are spread across the country and have been turning news stories all day. Several injuries reported after severe storms swept through the Northeast. NewsNation is live on the ground in one of the hardest hit areas. This is in Pennsylvania. And millions of Americans at risk of losing their homes when that eviction moratorium runs out this weekend. The last-minute scramble to keep the protection alive in D.C. Plus, the first wave of Afghans who helped American troops arriving in Virginia, how they'll be resettled all across the country. But we begin tonight with the latest on the pandemic and a new report from the CDC urging health officials across the country to change their game plan in the fight against COVID as Delta variant cases continue to climb. The stern directive to staff: acknowledge the war has changed. NewsNation White House correspondent Allison Harris is live for us. Allison, the CDC calling it a war. What else was in that report?
Well, Nicole, we've heard and we've been talking about this new variant of COVID, saying that it's different. It's been called COVID on steroids. And now, thanks to a new CDC document, we're getting specific information about just how much more contagious this Delta variant is. The CDC now has information that this variant spreads as easily as chickenpox, that it almost acts like an entirely different virus, more transmissible than Ebola or even the common cold. Scientists now know that people who are fully vaccinated are far less likely to become severely ill if they do get COVID, but they can still spread the virus as easily as people who are not vaccinated. And that is the game changer. The CDC director today saying that that evidence was pivotal for them. It's what led the CDC to change its mask guidance earlier this week. And it's why the president pleaded with the nation yesterday when he announced new vaccine mandates, saying to people who remain unvaccinated, quote, "You don't have to die." People who haven't gotten their shots have a much greater risk of dying from COVID than the people who are fully vaccinated. 99% of COVID deaths in this country are among the unvaccinated. And scientists say that people who are not vaccinated are now not only putting themselves at a greater risk, but they're also putting the people who are vaccinated at risk, as more cases mean that there will be more breakthrough cases, even though those breakthrough cases remain rare. Nicole?
Yeah, we do want to focus on that. They are rare. All right, Allison, thank you. Well, more top stories to tell you about tonight out of Virginia, Florida, and on Capitol Hill. But let's get over to Adrian Bankert. Adrian, we know health experts say the vaccine is the best weapon against the pandemic. But of course, so many people are still opting out.
Yeah, that's right, Nicole. According to the CDC, nearly 50% of the country is fully vaccinated. Almost 70% of adults have 1 dose of their shot. But that means still 50% of Americans are not vaccinated, despite the urgent pleas from the White House, the CDC, and other public health organizations. So we wanted to gain some insight as to why some Americans do not want to get vaccinated. We found their reasons are varied, though a lot of them agree. Some say they're not vulnerable, they're not in those groups where they have high risk, they're confident they're not in danger of either getting or transmitting the coronavirus. Others are very health conscious in a holistic way. They take precautions with drugs and prescriptions of any kind. Others say it's too soon to trust the vaccine. They want or are waiting for full FDA approval. Here's how a Texas woman advocating for vaccine choice describes the community.
Many of us are not anti-vaxxers. Many of us actually have vaccinated our children, and there are risks and there are benefits to vaccines. And I think we do it a disservice to the conversation when we're not just honest about that.
Right now, all 3 COVID-19 vaccines, Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, are approved for use under the FDA's emergency use authorization, but have not received full-fledged FDA approval. Today, Dr. Anthony Fauci, in an interview with Reuters, says he hopes to see that change as soon as next month. Fauci says that could help reduce what's been called vaccine hesitancy. However, with hundreds of millions of people decidedly against the vaccine for personal reasons, even that may not be enough. Nicole?
Yeah, hundreds of millions. All right, Adrian, thank you. Let's turn now to the Capitol, where lawmakers were scrambling today to keep a roof over the heads of millions of Americans before the pandemic eviction moratorium runs out this weekend. News Nation's Rashad Hudson live for us tonight in the Capitol. Rashad, what do we know about this?
Well, Nicole, lawmakers are hoping that the CDC makes a last-minute effort in extending that eviction moratorium to prevent millions of American families from losing their homes. That's set to expire tomorrow. Now, earlier today, California Congresswoman Maxine Waters introduced legislation that would extend the eviction moratorium to the end of the year. But early last month, the Supreme Court ruled that they would not do this unless Congress passed a bill extending that. And Speaker Pelosi is calling on the CDC to extend it, saying that they have the power to do so. And she's hoping they will do so to hold Congress over in terms of getting the details to pass a bill, because they're running out the clock essentially. But Republicans say that this is an issue of Democrats' own making, meaning that Democrats knew that the clock was running when it comes to the eviction moratorium. Take a listen.
I don't think any of us relish seeing what could happen to these families if we do not extend this eviction moratorium.
If they're not having their rents paid, that really is a financial burden to a lot of people that employ a lot of people.
Now, just this afternoon, the White House released a statement. The president is calling on states and local governments to use those funds that are already allocated to them to help people with rental assistance. And this is all going to happen as the eviction moratorium is set to expire tomorrow. Nicole?
All right, Rashad, thank you. Well, from the Capitol to the White House, President Biden recently wrapping up a White House meeting with Cuban-American leaders focused on the recent protests on that communist island. News Nation's Brian Enton live for us tonight in Miami. So, Brian, what do we know about who was in that meeting and what exactly was discussed?
Well, Nicole, we know that it was a closed-door meeting between President Biden and Cuban-American leaders, but cameras were allowed in briefly. You can see right here. The president announcing new sanctions on Cuba after that violent crackdown on the island. Basically, he is now sanctioning Cuban police forces and two leaders specifically between the Cuban police force. Any U.S. assets they have now will be frozen. You remember the protests on the island about 3 weeks ago now. After those protests, hundreds of people were arrested. Some of them are still missing right now, and that's what's so concerning to the White House. Listen to what the president just said.
Cuban Americans are hurting. They're hurting because their loved ones are suffering. And it's quite frankly intolerable.
And another big focus of this meeting we know will be internet on the island. The Cuban regime shut down the internet after those protests. Many Cuban Americans want America to intervene and bring internet to the island. The president said that is on the table, and they're looking into all options. Nicole?
All right, Brian, thank you. Today, the first round of Afghan translators arrived here in the U.S. as the military continues its troop withdrawal from Afghanistan. 200 of them now at Fort Lee in Virginia. News Nation's Alex Thorson from our Richmond station WRIC joining us live. So, Alex, what's the plan as they start their new lives here?
Well, Nicole, out of all U.S. military bases, Fort Lee here in Virginia is the first stop for 200 Afghan refugees who helped our country during the war. Now, take a look at this video here. The first round pulling into Fort Lee from Dulles Airport around 7 this morning. It's a homecoming for more than 200 of these Afghans, many of them translators who helped the U.S. mission in Afghanistan. Their families arriving as well today, all fleeing possible violence from the Taliban. Today in D.C., Democratic Senator Tim Kaine says the allies will be staying at Fort Lee for about a week as they complete applications for special immigrant visas and get medical exams before relocating into communities. Now, a new bill includes more than $1 billion to increase the amount of translators coming to the U.S. from 11,000 to 19,000, actually, plus their families there. President Joe Biden says the allies arriving today have already completed extensive background checks and security screenings. Now, Senator Tim Kaine says in the coming weeks we should expect hundreds of these Afghan refugees arriving on planes sporadically. He says here at Fort Lee they can house up to 2,500 of them at a time. Nicole, back to you.
Yeah, those allies played such an important role. All right, Alex, thank you. Let's switch to the crisis at the border. Migrants crossing our southern border in record numbers. Now, this is according to Customs and Border Protection. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill say it will only get worse unless Congress steps in. NewsNation's Anna Wernicke from our D.C. bureau joining us live. So, Anna, there's an unlikely pair of congressmen working together on this issue.
Nicole, that's right. Today, South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham and Texas Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar stood side by side, calling on Congress to take immediate action and to send help to the U.S.-Mexico border. Senator Graham says that Border Patrol agents are overwhelmed and understaffed. Cuellar, who represents the border district of Laredo, says that the Biden administration's approach just simply isn't working. In March, President Biden appointed Vice President Kamala Harris to lead the White House response to the border challenges. That strategy is focused on addressing the root causes of migration. Well, today, Graham and Cuellar say they want a new border czar, former Homeland Security Secretary under President Obama, Jay Johnson.
Put somebody in charge whose focus is just on the border and all the problems associated with it, that would have credibility in the eyes of Congress, and that's Jay Johnson. I can promise you that most Republicans respect Jay Johnson.
And on Thursday, President Biden met with Democratic lawmakers to push for protections for migrants who arrive to the U.S. as children, known as Dreamers, to be included in the $3.5 trillion budget bill. Senator Graham says that Republicans are willing to negotiate with Democrats on a DACA deal, but he says first, Congress needs to secure the border. Live in Washington for News Nation, I'm Anna Wernicke. Nicole, back to you.
All right, Anna, thank you. We have two big headlines today surrounding former President Donald Trump. The Justice Department has ruled the IRS must provide his tax returns to Congress. It's an issue, of course, that's been discussed since the 2016 presidential campaign, when then candidate Trump said he couldn't release them because he was being audited. During the Trump administration, the DOJ refused to turn over those returns, claiming they were only being sought by Democrats for partisan reasons. The House Ways and Means Committee, which sued for the record, says the tax returns are needed for an investigation into whether Mr. Trump violated tax law. And the other big story involving Donald Trump, handwritten notes from a December phone call with the former president showing he urged senior DOJ officials to declare the 2020 election results corrupt. Those notes were taken by the then acting Deputy Attorney General and released today by the chair of the House Oversight and Reform Committee. The DOJ officials on the call, including then acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen, pushed back, telling the president the department could not change the outcome of the election. During the call, the president reportedly complained that people were angry and blaming the DOJ for ignoring legitimate claims of fraud. Well, meantime, witnesses say it was like a bomb. A pair of tornadoes leave buildings destroyed and at least 5 injured. This is in eastern Pennsylvania. Shocking video tonight from that state and New Jersey, where severe storms moved through. NewsNation correspondent Tom Negovin has been tracking this devastation live for us tonight in Trevose, Pennsylvania. Lots of damage there, Tom?
A lot of damage, Nicole, across the region right now. We're just getting some new information from the National Weather Service. We know that 2 tornadoes struck here within an hour of each other last night, just after 7 o'clock, northeast of Philadelphia. Trevose is in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, here in New Jersey. A lot of damage last night. Actually, the injury toll now up to 6, none life-threatening, which local officials find, frankly, difficult to believe, they say, because the emergency management director, for one, who's been here 34 years with the county, says he's never seen anything like what we're seeing here today. This is a line of auto dealerships, Faulkner Toyota just behind us, where one of the tornadoes came through. Part of the dealership is just gone, along with a lot of the vehicles that were parked here at the time the tornado struck. 4 of those injured were actually hurt here. But again, no one life-threatening, and everyone is accounted for at this point. I want to take you across the state line now to some video from the air from our News Nation affiliate WPIX-TV out of New York. You look at this from the sky, and it gives you a really unique perspective. A lot of damage in New Jersey, but the numbers are very different. No serious injuries that we're aware of, but 12 tornado warnings last night alone. To give you some perspective on that, there were 23 There have been 23, counting those 12, all year so far. At least 3 touchdown. All 3 were small. In fact, one was only on the ground for about half a mile, but it still managed to flip a house, we're told. A lot of cars flipped over as well in the Garden State. There, as here, they're still assessing the damage. Grateful there were no more injuries. And this came along, Nicole, with some serious straight line winds, isolated flooding, and hail in some localities the size of golf balls. Why is it always the size of golf balls?
Are always the size of golf balls there. All right, Tom, I don't know what your photographer's capabilities are, but can you show us the scene around you at all?
Oh, yes, Ronnie Vilka absolutely can. Pan around a little bit, Ronnie. You go one way, I'll go the other, and we'll just show you the area. So a lot of vehicles, new cars parked in this string of car dealerships, Mazdas, Cadillacs, Volvos, Toyotas, and pretty much 100% damage here. Light standards came down, some of the hail came down here, and actually, I don't know if you can see, but people are in the lot right now just assessing the damage and adding it up. They'd like federal disaster assistance for this location, Nicole, but local officials are telling us they think it's unlikely that they'll actually see any.
Yeah, so much damage out there. All right, Tom and Ronnie behind the camera, we do appreciate it. Well, meantime, flash flooding remaining a big concern for parts of the West. This is Miami, Arizona, which is west of Phoenix, where the National Weather Service says flash flooding is now a life-threatening situation. And the mayor of Cedar City, Utah, requesting assistance from other cities due to flash flooding. Now, this is in response, though. Cedar City has received thousands of donated sandbags. You can see why they need them. And more than 100 people evacuated from Glenwood Canyon, Colorado, after 29 cars were stuck due to mudslides, of course, from that flash flooding. Many roads in that area still shut down. Let's go to News Nation's Vicente Arenas from our station KDVR joining us live. Vicente, you're about an hour outside of Denver. How long is cleanup expected to take there?
We wished that we knew the answer. And here we find ourselves again dealing with these flash floods, these debris slides that just go down the mountain. And we just found out just a short while ago, Nicole, this is breaking now, as many as 70 people are still stuck on the side of a highway in the mountains tonight. They spent the night at this roadside area with the Colorado Department of Transportation to safeguard them, because here is the concern right now is that there are storms, monsoonal storms, moving through the mountains. About an hour ago, there was lightning striking everywhere around us. There was rain, there was hail. When these storms come through here, they create huge danger because of the wildfires that we've had here. You ask about the cleanup. We were able to see from the air today that there are just these vast areas of what looks like moonscape. So when this water hits the mountain, it just rushes down the area and it goes into these ravines, into these V-shaped valleys. And that's what happened last night. These rocks, these boulders, today we're covering up signs. There are swaths of highway that look like mud and rivers. In some places, you can't even see the railroad tracks. And we also heard from the Department of Transportation today that there was so much desperation last night that people went into a tunnel to take cover. These cars went in there. It was the only place they could go to keep safe. Another man jumped on a front end loader that was on the side of the highway and tried to clear the path so they could get out, but that front end loader broke down. It did not work. The big concern this afternoon is that there are more storms moving through the area, and they just don't know how long this particular area is going to stay shut down. A very large stretch of a main corridor where we have huge amounts of traffic. There are people from several different states on vacation passing through Colorado here. They end up on this dark highway in the middle of the night. They have no idea what's happening. And you might say, why don't they know what's happening? Well, this storm developed so quickly that within 45 minutes, this torrential downpour hit the mountains, and that's why these cars got stuck. The good news is no one is hurt, no one is missing, but we still have those 70 people that spent the night in their cars. They're at a roadside stop in the mountains. The Department of Transportation telling us today that they are concerned because if there is another flash flood warning, they're going to have to get them out of there quick. So a lot of concern here tonight, and the forecast for rain here in the mountains is for a lot of rain, monsoonal moisture. And for us, after having all these burn scars, all these wildfires, not good news for us. We're going to have to watch it very closely this weekend. Reporting live for News Nation in Colorado, I'm Vicente Arenas. Nicole, back to you.
All right, Vicente, thank you. All right, let's send it over now to News Nation Chief Meteorologist Albert Ramon. So, Albert, which states are expecting more of this monsoon weather?
Yeah, 11 states, Nicole, under these flash flood concerns. Flash flood watches for much of the West, including cities like Las Vegas and Denver, not far from where you saw the live report from Vicente. This is because of the threat of heavy rainfall that could once again trigger flash flooding. Let me show you the Doppler radar. Monsoonal moisture mixing in with this area of low pressure that is inducing lift and energy in the atmosphere. And take a look at all the widespread showers and thunderstorms out in the west central Arizona with some flash flood warnings. The mountains of Southern California, San Bernardino Mountains dealing with not just the flash flood threat, but also severe weather threat. And unrelated is a tornado watch for Nebraska. We'll be watching for the threat of severe thunderstorms in Nebraska and Iowa as the night goes on. So a lot of this activity working with daytime heating. So it'll be afternoon and evening time this weekend when we see the bulk of activity that pops on up. And get this, rain in the forecast, but not a lot of it in Oregon, Washington, and Northern California. Red flag warnings for lightning-induced fires in the forecast this weekend. Unfortunately, where we have active fires burning already, more concern for the firefighters battling those fires here tonight, Nicole.
Yeah, lots of concern. All right, Albert, thank you. Still to come on Rush Hour, a vicious crime that's rocked an Atlanta community. A beloved bartender brutally murdered while walking her dog. Now the FBI getting involved. Plus, the pandemic upended how Americans and people around the world go to work. And now one congressman wants a permanent change. What do you think about a 4-day work week? Turning to the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, a big win for Team USA Soccer and a golden loss for one of the world's best tennis players. We have those big headlines, but first, let's look at the leaderboard. Team USA leading in medals with 41, but China is leading in gold with 19. We have complete Olympic coverage tonight with News Nation's Jack Doles in Tokyo, but we begin here with Aaron Nolan and those big Olympic headlines, Aaron.
Yeah, Nicole, we're going to get to Simone Biles in just a moment, some video you got to see. I'm not shy to admit that I'm a bit of an Olympic superfan. 2 reasons why. 1, cheering on the USA. 2, because you never know what you're going to get. Take the U.S. women's soccer team, for example. A stunning loss in the Olympic opener, but the gold medal favorite still found a way to advance to the knockout stage. But then another near heartbreak. Today's game went into overtime and then penalty kicks. The United States winning 4-2 and advancing. Next up, the Canadians with a spot in the gold medal match on the line. All right, the best tennis player maybe ever to play the game was looking for something that is nearly impossible to do. Novak Djokovic is looking for a golden slam, winning all 4 majors in 1 year and adding a gold medal. The 5 premier titles in 12 months, it would be spectacular. And I say would be because the Joker would fall today. In the semifinals, Novak beaten by Alexander Zverev. Novak is in the bronze medal match, and ironically, he is also in the bronze medal match in mixed doubles after losing today as well. And finally, an update to the story of the game. Simone Biles pulled out of the team gymnastics competition and the all-around competition. And now we have more on what is the it word of the Olympics, the twisties. Take a look at this video. It was posted on Instagram showing exactly why she pulled out of her Olympic events. Everything looks normal until the dismount, Nicole. Here's the dismount. She couldn't find her way around. This was at a practice facility outside of the Olympic gymnastics arena. She says those are the twisties and that, quote, her mind and body are simply not in sync. She writes, I don't think you realize how dangerous this is and how hard of a competition it really can be. It is really remarkable to see Simone and her struggles right now. But I will say sometimes you don't have it. And a mental health day, Nicole, is real and it's needed.
Well, today we are 1 week into the games and News Nation's Jack Doles has been there every step of the way. So Jack, obviously COVID playing a major part in everything. Give us your take on being there a week in.
3,300 cases on Friday in Tokyo, new cases, but we're still inside this Olympic bubble. I can tell you, Nicole, today is our last day in quarantine, so we can pick up our rail pass and we can start to go out and actually experience Tokyo in a way that we're looking forward to. Maybe hit some restaurants. I have yet to have Asian food out here. It's just not on the menu from what they serve us inside of our Olympic bubble. But so far, we all feel really good. We've followed the protocols, and it's been a pretty safe place to be inside the Olympic bubble.
That is good, and happy last day in quarantine to you. All right, let's talk U.S. swimmer Michael Andrew, who is unvaccinated. The Olympic Committee said he violated protocols by not wearing a mask in a mixed zone area, but then that was reversed hours later.
Michael Andrew, the highest profile unvaccinated athlete here in Tokyo for Team USA, went through the mixed zone and took the mask off. He was asked, why don't you have it on? And he said, I just sacrificed my body in the pool, and the safest thing for me right now is to be able to breathe. Well, we've seen swimmers go through that mixed zone. Almost all of them have had masks on. We've seen gymnasts go through the mixed zone. Almost all of them have had, or they've all had their masks on. But there have been other athletes at other venues that have taken that mask off for interviews in the mixed zone. And the USA Swimming, after first saying he violated protocol, hours later came out and said it is allowed. But they've reminded the athletes time and time again that they need to keep those masks on almost at all times.
All right. Jack Doles, thank you for the input, sir. We will continue checking in with you each night. Let's have a come on Rush Hour. Every so often, we hear of those dangerous TikTok trends landing young people in the hospital, sometimes even killing them. Now, parents around the country are demanding the app take action. Well, the FBI now helping in the investigation of the murder of a woman and her dog at an Atlanta park. That 40-year-old woman and her dog were found in the early morning hours. Investigators hoping to get any video from that area to understand exactly what happened. NewsNation correspondent Janelle Ford is at Piedmont Park. That's where it happened. Janelle, any arrests made at this point?
No, not yet, Nicole. And in fact, there's now a $10,000 reward for any information leading to whoever's responsible for doing this. Atlanta police described this crime as gruesome. Janice and her dog Maui were found stabbed to death here at the park, just inside of the gates here. This evening, there is a growing memorial back here for the pair. Atlanta police right now not releasing any information on any leads, a motive, and again, the FBI now stepping in. Janice was a bartender at a local restaurant not too far away from here. Her family says that it actually wasn't uncharacteristic for her to walk her dog late at night, and they found her body after her partner grew worried that she hadn't gotten home that night. She used Find My iPhone to track her down, and that's where she made the grim discovery. Now, right now, it is unclear if this was a targeted attack, if this was a random act of violence. But when we spoke with Janice's loved ones and friends, they said that, this just doesn't make any sense to them.
She's just a really kind person. There's nobody that I could even imagine that would have a bone to pick with Katie to that magnitude.
Now, like other metro places across the country, Atlanta is seeing a huge rise in crime. Homicides for the city up 60% year over year. So as you can imagine, a lot of folks here are on edge. Nicole?
Yeah, we really hope the FBI can help get some answers there. All right, Janelle, thank you. Well, TikTok, hugely popular with kids, but for many parents, the social media platform remains a mystery. Well, now some parents are asking TikTok to give them more access to what their kids see on the app. NewsNation's Walt Buteau joins us from our Tampa station, WFLA. So, Walt, what exactly are parents petitioning for?
Well, it's a nonprofit that basically penned a petition. It's called Parents Together. They penned the petition, sent it to the CEO of TikTok, and they're asking for a safety measure that they call mirror accounts for minors. And what that involves is parents would be able to use their own devices, their phones, their iPads, to monitor what their children are doing on TikTok. And the parents in this group say those parents, they should be able to monitor and intervene if necessary, especially on that questionable content, things like white supremacy and self-harm. Self-harm, especially important here. Recently, there have been preteen deaths in 3 states, Massachusetts, Colorado, and Oklahoma, after these teens did something called the Blackout Challenge. We've heard of this before. It involves using ligatures, basically the teens choking themselves to a point of passing out to feel a sort of euphoria. And we know this is dangerous. We've seen it before, but now it's gaining steam again on this popular video platform, TikTok.
All right, so mirror monitoring here. Walt, has TikTok responded to that petition?
News Nation reached out to TikTok, no response yet. Also, no updates on their website, but we can point out that TikTok has some safety measures in place already that parents should know about. Last spring, TikTok launched something called Family Pairing. TikTok says that allows you to change the settings on your children's devices to make them more safe. Also allows you to monitor how long they're on the device, what they're watching. And this is very important. It would allow you to basically stop other people from contacting your children. And if you want, you could completely turn off direct messages, of course, also known as DMs. Nicole?
Yeah, and certainly important for so many parents. All right. Walt, thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, coming up here on Rush Hour, if you had the choice, would you work only 4 days a week? That debate picking up steam around the country. Even a congressman has worked up a piece of legislation calling for the 4-day change. A 4-day work weeks seem like a dream, a very good dream, and a new proposal in Congress may make it a reality. Nancy Liu is with us live from Los Angeles. So Nancy, could this really happen for workers? A lot of people here in the newsroom love the sound of it.
Oh, I know it's very high interest. The possibility is there, and the mindset is changing fast. Even without legislation, many American workers are already on a 4-day work week, and employers are touting the results with little to and even no drop in productivity and even some improvement. The push for a 4-day work week has been gaining steam since the pandemic upended how and where and when Americans work. Now, the proposed legislation introduced this week by California Congressman Mark Takano seeks to reduce the national standard work week from 40 hours to 32. He cites known benefits for employees and employers. Now, a consultant who works with companies helping them to transition, he says changes to improve efficiency can greatly boost productivity, and with more downtime, employees are much healthier and happier. It also leads to less turnover.
Makes the whole enterprise and people's careers and lives just more sustainable, so that, you know, success ceases to be a kind of arms race or against burnout and becomes something that, you can think about and enjoy for sort of a longer period of your life.
They started to get more efficient and very laser focused on what we were working on, meaning that they knew we didn't have a lot of extra time for any kind of fluff. Like, we did the same amount of work, but in 4 days.
Now, the push for a 4-day week is actually a global phenomenon. Get this, positive results reported in Japan as well as New Zealand. Trials are planned in Spain and Scotland, and in Iceland, 15% of the workforce there is already permanently on reduced hours. Nicole?
Yeah, Nancy, I just want to focus again on the fact that this is not 40-hour work weeks, going down to 32. All right, well, let's circle back to those 32, the company trials that you're talking about. So some interesting results in these trials when it comes to sick days.
Yeah, companies are seeing that because workers get that extra day, they can make their doctor's appointments. They can do what they need to do. They use less sick days because they don't need to. So think about it. You don't have to call in sick to get things done.
All right. You are right, Nancy Liu. All right, thank you. Still ahead in tonight's entertainment headlines, reaction to the brand new Prince album released today, more than 5 years after his death. What we know about the album, called Welcome to America. It is time to talk entertainment, and it sounds like some good news about Bob Odenkirk from Better Call Saul. He does appear to be doing better after that recent health scare. Let's bring in News Nation's Olivia De Bortoli from our Los Angeles station KTLA. Olivia, can you tell us the latest? Hi.
Hi, how are you? Yeah, this story has been on our minds since last week when we heard that Bob Odenkirk collapsed on the set of Better Call Saul Well, we got some good news today. The actor tweeted this morning, quote, "I had a small heart attack, but I'm going to be okay. Thanks to Rosa Estrada and the doctors who knew how to fix the blockage without surgery." I think a heart attack is not a small thing, but it looks like he's going to be okay and going back to shooting Better Call Saul in the next coming weeks. So really good news for Bob Odenkirk.
I agree with you, Olivia. Definitely not a small thing, but so glad it sounds like he'll be all right. All right, let's talk. Yesterday, we spoke with Doug about Scarlett Johansson filing that lawsuit with Disney over her Black Widow paycheck. Now it seems today, Gerard Butler following in her footsteps, but this is with Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, I don't know, is this going to be a trend now? Are actors going to start standing up for themselves? I don't know, but Gerard Butler filed a lawsuit today alleging he is owed at least $10 million in back-end compensation for his 2013 film, Olympus Has Fallen. Butler says Millennium Films owes him that money because the producers understated the domestic and foreign receipts, basically saying he's saying that they are saying the film made more or less than what he is actually owed. So is this a trend for the upcoming actors? I don't know.
Olivia, it might be. I can tell you, if I were not paid $10 million, I would probably be suing for it as well. All right, a big day for Prince fans, a new album being released, but this is 5 years after his death.
I know this, like you said, great news for Prince fans. I'm so excited for this. In 2010, Prince recorded but then shelved an entire album called Welcome to America, which was full of not so shiny reflections on the state of the nation. Well, today, Prince's estate released the entire album, and the songs are very fitting for 2021. It's like he knew or something.
It is like he knew, and he has so much music in his vault, which is awesome for all of the Prince fans. All right, let's talk MTV, which Prince made many appearances on, turning 40 years old today. The network launched back in 1981 and actually played music videos at the time of its launch, Olivia.
I know. It's the OG of reality TV. From The Real World to Teen Mom, all of these reality shows, I feel like, stemmed from MTV. Like you said, it launched in August 1st of 1981, and since then, it rattled the nerves of parents and moral crusaders. But it also changed the landscape of not only music, but TV as well. I remember watching TRL after I got home from school, and it being the greatest thing ever. So, you know, MTV has changed a lot over the years, so we'll see where it goes next, but 40 years is quite the accomplishment.
Yeah, back when it launched, people actually had to wait for the video to come on. They couldn't just bring it up on YouTube. All right, Olivia, thank you. Well, the Donlin Report starts in about 10 minutes, maybe 8 minutes. Joe down in the studio, tell us what's coming up.
Hi, Nicole. Tonight, COVID and the Delta variant, especially as contagious as the chicken pox. That's the word today, yet people are packing festivals. So that begs the question, are these events setting us up for another lockdown? And are masks here to stay? We'll get into that. Plus, President Biden pushing for electric cars. Can Americans afford them? And is this the jolt our economy needs? And the rent is due. Millions of people facing possible eviction notices. And we just found out, in fact, a minute or so ago, that the moratorium on evictions will not be extended. We'll get into that as well. What happens if folks still can't afford to pay the rent? That and more at the top of the hour. Nicole, back to you.
All right, Joe, thank you. We have one final check on some top stories making headlines across your nation. And in Ohio University, punishing more than 20 students found to be responsible in a sophomore's hazing death. We continue tonight live from our News Nation headquarters in Chicago. Here are some top stories we are watching right now. New evidence suggests the Delta variant is as contagious as chickenpox and may be more dangerous than other versions of the coronavirus. That's according to internal CDC documents obtained by the Washington Post. Officials also saying breakthrough infections, which are when vaccinated people still get the virus, may be as transmissible as those in unvaccinated people. And prepare to mask up if a Broadway show is on your agenda. The Broadway League has announced audience members must wear face coverings and show proof they're fully vaccinated when theaters reopen in the coming weeks. There will be medical and religious exceptions, but those people will need to show proof of a negative COVID test. Vaccinations will also be required for performers, crew members, and theater employees. And two big stories surrounding former President Trump today. The DOJ says the IRS must turn the former president's tax returns over to a congressional committee amid a probe into a possible tax law violation. Plus, newly surfaced notes from a phone call with President Trump late last year show he urged senior DOJ officials to declare the 2020 election results corrupt. The Senate advanced a roughly $1 trillion infrastructure plan today with a bipartisan group of senators helping it clear one more hurdle. That plan includes financing from untapped COVID-19 relief aid and relying on projected future economic growth. Well, 21 students are responsible for conduct that led to the death of an Ohio college sophomore earlier this year. That's according to Bowling Green State University officials. They say those students committed more than 80 student conduct violations, including hazing and furnishing alcohol. 3 of them now expelled, nearly 20 others suspended. 20-year-old Stone Foltz died following a fraternity drinking ritual in which he was told to drink a bottle of alcohol. And people cleaning up after powerful storms rolled through the Northeast. 2 tornadoes hit eastern Pennsylvania last night, causing widespread damage. At a car dealership near Philly, the winds caused the roof to collapse. Many cars damaged, at least 5 people hurt, although luckily none seriously. That is all for Rush Hour tonight. You can follow me on social media. Just search Nicole Burley on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And as we leave you, we want to give you this live look at Lollapalooza. This is downtown Chicago, one of the biggest music festivals in the country. Thousands gathered in Chicago tonight.